We have time for a couple of questions. Alex asks, is there an ETF we can buy to take advantage of the drop in the market instead of trying to pick individual stocks that are down? And I'm going to guess they want a biotech or healthcare ETF rather than an overall market ETF.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first one that comes to mind is an overall market one, the Vanguard S&P 500 index, the VOO, VOO. But if you want something more specific to healthcare or biotech, there are three that kind of jump to mind here. I think the XLV, which is a healthcare ETF, it includes not just biotech and drug makers, it includes medical device companies and other pharmacies and across the healthcare spectrum. XLV is a good broad-based healthcare ETF. I think that, like you said, Alex, you don't have to pick individual stocks. You're going to get a broad exposure to healthcare. For biotech, there's XBI and there's IBB. And one of those, I think it's the XBI, has a lot more smaller biotech stocks in it, whereas IBB...
It's also equally weighted.
Yeah, and it's equally weighted, yeah. And so those are two different biotech ETFs that I think are probably two of the biggest, if not the two biggest on the market.
Yeah. So IBB, you're going to get a lot more of the larger biotech companies, and they're going to be a lot higher percentage of the total. And so they're going to drive the price of the IBB versus the XBI. I don't actually really like investing in biotech ETFs, just because I feel like the spread between the best biotechs and the worst biotechs is bigger in biotech industry than in almost every other industry. And so I feel like when you buy a biotech ETF, you're getting the best biotechs and the worst biotechs. And I feel like with a little bit of research, you can do better by doing some research and avoiding those bad biotechs, because they're oftentimes very easy to figure out. And so I think that you are likely to do better picking a basket of biotech companies rather than investing in the XBI or IBB. But that's just my personal opinion. I understand a lot of people aren't really as excited about the industry as I am. And so I understand the desire to find a shortcut, but I'm not sure the shortcut will work okay. But I think that if you are willing to put in the extra time, I think that you can benefit from picking individual biotech companies.
Yeah, and especially as you said, Brian, if you invest in a basket and don't put all your eggs in one basket. I mean, look, biotech stocks, particularly earlier stage biotech stocks, are really risky and the stocks are very volatile. So if you spread your money out across, Brian, I'm going to say at least 10, 15 biotech stocks would give you at least some diversification, and don't put too much of your portfolio in any given one stock.
Yeah, and then I would even suggest if you're not a biotech specialist, those 10 or 15 stocks are probably the equivalent of 2 or 3 of your other size stocks. So you rightly move down the full size price, full size portion of a biotech versus the full size position of a non-biotech in your portfolio, and that will also help you reduce your risk on the downside.
Right. If one of the biotech stocks really takes off, a small initial investment is still going to make you a lot of money, and if it doesn't take off, you only invested a small amount up front, and you don't lose as much.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks everybody, and Fool on.